I stood at the altar, staring at the doors, waiting for Emily to walk through them in white. The music kept playing. Then it stopped. My best man, Ryan, leaned close. Daniel, did she text you? My phone buzzed in my hand. I smiled at first. I thought she was nervous. Then I read it. I'm sorry. I can't marry you. I'm leaving with Victor. Please don't look for me. I blinked. What does it say? Ryan asked. I couldn't answer. My mother stood from the front row. Daniel, why is there a delay? I swallowed. My mouth felt dry. She's not coming. The whisper started, soft at first, then louder. What do you mean not coming? My father demanded, standing up. I showed Ryan the message. His face turned red. Victor? As in Victor Langford? I nodded slowly. The billionaire? He asked. I felt every eye in the room on me. My mother walked up the steps to the altar. Daniel, tell me this is a mistake. I forced a laugh that didn't sound like mine. It's not. The wedding planner rushed over. Sir, the bride isn't answering her phone. She won't, I said quietly. Guests began standing, grabbing their bags, whispering like I wasn't even there. I heard she met someone richer. He always seemed too ordinary for her. Poor guy. Every word stabbed. Ryan grabbed my shoulder. Call her. Now. I pressed her name. She answered on the third ring. Daniel. Her voice sounded calm. Too calm. Where are you? I asked. Silence. Then she said it. I'm at the airport. The world tilted. You're joking. I'm not. You're choosing him? My voice cracked, and I hated that it did. Victor can give me the life I deserve. The life you deserve. I repeated. Love doesn't pay bills, she said softly. I remembered all the nights she complained about my job. All the times she compared me to successful men. All the times she asked why I wasn't more ambitious. You said you loved me. I did, she replied. But love isn't enough. Since when? Since I realized I was settling. Those words hit harder than anything else. So, I'm a backup plan? I asked. You're safe, Daniel. But I don't want safe. The call ended. I stared at my reflection in the polished floor. I looked like a fool in a tux. Sophie, her bridesmaid, finally walked up to me. She couldn't meet my eyes. You knew, I said. She whispered. I tried to tell her not to do this. That's not what I asked. She hesitated. She's been seeing Victor for 3 months. 3 months. While planning this wedding? I asked. Sophie nodded. I laughed, but it came out broken. Was any of it real? She cared about you, Sophie said. But Victor promised her Paris. Private jets. Investments. A future. I gave her my future. Sophie's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. Ryan stepped forward. You should leave. Guests were already walking out. My father argued with Emily's parents near the doors. This is humiliating, my father said when he reached me. I know. My mother touched my face. You don't deserve this. I felt numb. Maybe I do. Don't say that, she snapped. Ryan pulled me aside. Say the word, and I'll drag her back here. It won't change anything, I said. The hall emptied slowly. Flowers still lined the aisle. Candles still flickered like nothing had happened. But everything had happened. I took off my jacket and threw it on a chair. Ryan asked quietly, What are you going to do? I looked at the entrance one last time, hoping she would burst through the doors and say it was all a mistake. She didn't. I don't know, I admitted. Minutes later, I stood alone. The staff cleaned up around me. Chairs scraped against the floor. Someone removed the wedding arch. I pulled a ring from my pocket. It felt heavier now. 3 years together. Gone in one text. I replayed every moment. Every time she looked bored when I talked about my plans. Every time she praised rich men on social media. Every time she said, You could do more, Daniel. Maybe she was right. Maybe I wasn't enough. The lights dimmed. I sat on the steps of the altar, staring at the ring in my palm. My voice echoed in the empty hall. Was I ever enough? I knew it was bad when Ryan called me before I even opened my eyes. Don't check your phone, he said. That's never a good start, I muttered. Daniel, the video is everywhere. My stomach tightened. What video? You. At the altar. Standing there like he stopped. Like she left you. I hung up and opened social media anyway. There I was. Frozen in a tux. Eyes empty. Guests whispering behind me. The caption read, Groom abandoned for billionaire. The views were climbing by the second. At work, the office felt different. Too quiet. Too careful. I walked past two co-workers near the break room. Is that him? Yeah. Poor guy. I kept walking. In the elevator, my reflection looked smaller than usual. When I reached my desk, my phone buzzed again. A notification from Emily's account. Paris. She stood beside Victor on a balcony overlooking the Eiffel Tower. She wore a red dress I had once bought her. The caption read, "New beginnings." The comments burned more than the photo. She upgraded. From average to elite. Girl won the lottery. I felt heat rise in my chest. Ryan texted, "Ignore it." I typed back, "I'm fine." I wasn't. An email popped up from my boss. "Daniel, come to my office." I walked in 10 minutes later. Mr. Raymond Cole folded his hands on his desk. "Close the door." I did. He studied me for a moment. "How are you holding up?" "I'm working," I replied. "That's not what I asked." "I'm fine." He sighed. "Daniel, the video has reached some of our clients." I clenched my jaw. "And they're asking questions. About my wedding? About your stability?" I stared at him. "You think I can't do my job because I got dumped?" "I'm saying perception matters." "So what are you suggesting?" I asked. "I need to know this won't affect your performance." "It won't." He leaned back. "Victor Langford is a powerful man. I know who he is. Our firm has indirect ties to his network." I felt it then. The fear beneath his calm tone. "You're worried about offending him," I said. "I'm worried about protecting the company." I stood up straighter. "I've never missed a deadline. I've never lost a client." "That's true. Then judge me on that." He nodded slowly. "Prove to everyone this doesn't define you." "It doesn't," I said, even though it still did. When I returned to my desk, I opened Emily's profile again. Another photo. Champagne glasses. Private jet seats. I pressed call. She answered quickly. "Daniel, are you enjoying Paris?" I asked. She paused. "Why are you calling?" "I just saw the pictures. They're just photos. They're public. So I'm the joke of the internet." "That's not my fault," she replied. "You left me at the altar. I told you I couldn't marry you. You told me in a text." She exhaled. "Dragging this out won't help." 3 years, Emily. I know. Did any of it matter? It did. But I had to choose my future. With him. With opportunity. I laughed bitterly. "So, I was what? A placeholder? You were comfortable. That's worse." Silence filled the line. Then she said it again, colder this time. "Love doesn't pay bills, Daniel." Something inside me cracked. "I would have built everything with you," I said quietly. "But you hadn't yet," she answered. "And that's all that matters?" "Yes." The call ended. I sat there, staring at my screen. My reflection looked tired. Small. Replaceable. Was I really that insignificant? Ryan walked over. "You okay?" I looked up at him. "Do you think I'm small?" "What?" "Be honest." He frowned. "You're not rich, but you're not small." She thought I was. Maybe everyone did. I opened my photo gallery. Thousands of memories. Birthdays. Trips. Late night selfies. My finger hovered. Then I started deleting. One by one. Ryan watched silently. When the last photo disappeared, I felt something shift inside me. Not relief. Not peace. Fire. I whispered to myself, steady and clear, "Fine. If money is what matters, I'll show you what I'm worth." Rain soaked through my shirt as I stood outside the hospital entrance. Ryan grabbed my arm. "You're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking fine," I snapped. "I'm quitting." "You're quitting because she hurt your ego." "I'm quitting because I'm done being small." "You're not small," he shot back. I laughed bitterly. That's not what the world thinks. Thunder rolled above us. I barely noticed. Ryan stepped in front of me. "So what's your plan?" "Storm into the CEO's office and say, 'I'm rich in spirit'? At least I won't be pathetic." "You're not pathetic." "I got left at the altar for a billionaire." "That's on her, not you." "Easy for you to say." A calm voice cut through the rain. "You're both wrong." I turned. A woman stood under the hospital awning, dry despite the storm. She held a black umbrella, her posture straight, her gaze steady. Ryan frowned. "Excuse me?" She looked at me, not him. "You're angry." I wiped rain from my face. "You don't know me. I don't need to. I can hear you from 10 feet away." Ryan muttered, "Great. An audience." She stepped closer. "Anger isn't the problem." "Oh," I said. "Direction is." I stared at her. What does that mean? It means you're reacting, not deciding. Ryan crossed his arms. And you are. She ignored him. You lost someone to a man with money. So now you want to run from your life. I want more, I corrected. Then build it, she replied calmly. Don't throw a tantrum. I bristled. This isn't a tantrum. It sounds like one. Ryan tried not to smile. I glared at her. You think this is funny? No, she said softly. I think you're wasting pain that could make you stronger. Her words hit harder than I expected. You don't know what it feels like, I said. She tilted her head. To be chosen for money? I know exactly what that feels like. That caught my attention. Ryan looked between us. Do you two know each other? No, she said. No, I echoed. She studied me. Tell me, if she came back tomorrow, would you still want her? I hesitated. Ryan answered for me. He would. I shot him a look. She nodded slowly. Then you're not angry at her. You're angry at yourself. That's not true, I said quickly. Isn't it? She asked. I didn't answer. Rain hit the pavement harder. She stepped fully under the awning. Quitting your job won't make you powerful. What will? I challenged. Discipline, strategy, patience. Ryan laughed. You sound like a business seminar. She finally smiled, faint but real. Maybe. I looked at her more carefully. She wasn't flashy. No designer logos. No heavy makeup. Just quiet confidence. Why do you care? I asked. Because I dislike wasted potential. You don't know if I have any. I can tell. I scoffed. From one argument in the rain? From the way you speak. You're not stupid. Just wounded. Ryan nudged me. She's got you figured out. I ignored him. What's your name? Isabella. Just Isabella? Isabella Monroe. The name felt familiar. Ryan's eyes widened slightly, but he said nothing. And what do you do, Isabella Monroe? I asked. She held my gaze. I manage expectations. That's vague. It's intentional. I shook my head. Look, I appreciate the lecture, but my life is a mess. Good, she replied. Good. Messy moments are turning points. Ryan whispered. Who talks like that? I asked. So what's your turning point? She looked at the hospital doors behind her. Family pressure. 4. Marriage. I blinked. That's random. Not in my world. And what world is that? She hesitated, then said calmly, Monroe Holdings. The name landed heavy. Wait, Ryan said slowly. As in Margaret Monroe? She nodded once. The chairwoman? I asked. Yes. I stared at her, rain forgotten. You're a granddaughter? I am. Silence stretched between us. I felt suddenly underdressed, underqualified, under everything. She studied my expression. Does that change what I said? No, I admitted. Good. Ryan cleared his throat. So what do you want from him? She looked directly at me. I want someone outside my world, she said. For what? She didn't smile this time. Marry me, she said evenly. Not for love. For strategy. Marry you, I repeated. Yes, Isabella said calmly. Ryan stared at her. This is a joke, right? It's not, she replied. I allowed a short laugh. You don't even know me. I know enough. Enough to marry me. Enough to trust that you're not greedy. I folded my arms. You barely mate me. And you barely know what you're capable of, she countered. Ryan stepped between us. Hold on. Why him? She looked at me, not him. Because he has nothing to gain from my money. That's not true, I said. Anyone would. You're offended by the idea, she said. That's the difference. I ran a hand through my hair. Explain this properly. My family wants me married within the year, she said. Preferably to someone powerful. Someone useful. And you don't want that? I want control, she answered. If I choose my own husband, even temporarily, they lose leverage. Ryan blinked. Temporarily? She nodded. A contract marriage. 2 years. Then divorce. I stared at her. That's insane. It's practical. For you. For both of us. I frowned. How does this help me? You gain access, she said. Networks. Education. Opportunity. So, I'm your rebellion project? You're my strategic partner. Ryan laughed under his breath. Daniel, this is how crime documentaries start. I ignored him. What's the catch? No emotional expectations, she said immediately. That's convenient. For both of us, she replied. You're still healing. I felt exposed. Don't analyze me. Then prove me wrong. I hesitated. And after 2 years, We divorce cleanly. No drama. None. And if I say no, she held my gaze. Then I find someone else. The idea irritated me more than it should have. Ryan grabbed my arm and pulled me aside. Are you serious? I don't know, I whispered. She's a billionaire heiress. I know. You just got humiliated publicly. This could blow up again. Or it could change everything. He searched my face. Is this about revenge? It's about not being powerless. He sighed. This is risky. So is staying the same. I turned back to Isabella. If we do this, we set clear rules. Agreed, she said. No emotional manipulation. Of course. No interference in my personal decisions. As long as they don't damage the agreement. And I won't be treated like an employee. You'll be treated like my husband, she said evenly. That's the strange part. She almost smiled. You'll adapt. I studied her calm expression. She wasn't desperate. She was controlled. 2 years, I said. 2 years, she confirmed. Ryan shook his head. I can't believe this. I looked at Isabella. One more thing. Yes. If I say yes, I won't be your puppet. I wouldn't respect you if you were. Silence hung between us. I felt something shift inside me. Not love. Not trust. Opportunity. Fine, I said slowly. I'll do it. Ryan groaned. You're actually doing this. Isabella extended her hand. Then we begin immediately. I shook it. Her grip was firm. This is insane, Ryan muttered. Probably, I agreed. The wedding happened quietly a week later. No flowers. No guests beyond legal witnesses. I stood in a simple suit. No music. No expectations. Isabella looked composed as always. When the officiant asked if I agreed, I said, I do, without hesitation. This time, no one ran. Afterward, she looked at me and said, Welcome to a different world. I hope it's worth it, I replied. You'll decide that. 2 days later, the headlines exploded. Abandoned groom marries billionaire heiress. Mysterious alliance shocks business world. Ryan sent me a screenshot. You broke the internet again. I stared at the photos. Isabella and I leaving the courthouse. Calm. Controlled. My phone rang. Emily. I let it ring once before answering. Daniel. Her voice sounded uncertain. Yes. You got married? I did. To Isabella Monroe? Yes. Silence. That was fast, she said. So was Paris. Her breathing shifted. Is this some kind of statement? It's my decision. Do you even know her? Enough. She hesitated. Daniel, this is serious. I know. You're not thinking clearly. That's interesting coming from you. Another pause. Are you happy? She asked quietly. I looked at my reflection in the window beside Isabella. I'm moving forward, I said. She sounded shaken when she replied. I didn't expect this. I'm sure you didn't. And for the first time since you left me, I felt the balance tilt. You're late, Isabella said as I stepped into the conference room. 5 minutes, I replied. In this world, 5 minutes signals weakness. I exhaled. Then I'll adjust. She nodded toward the long table. Sit. Listen. Don't speak unless necessary. 3 executives studied reports. At the head sat a sharp-eyed man in a gray suit. Daniel, Isabella said, this is Charles Whitmore. I extended my hand. Nice to meet you. He shook it firmly. I've heard about you. Good things, I hope. He gave a faint smile. That depends who's talking. I understood the message. The meeting began. Numbers flew across the screen. Market projections. Legal risks. Acquisition strategies. I stayed quiet. Halfway through, Charles looked at me. What's your assessment? The room stilled. I chose my words carefully. The proposal looks aggressive. Define aggressive, he said. It assumes cooperation from competitors who don't benefit. Charles leaned back. And your solution? Create pressure before partnership, I replied. Control supply lines first. Isabella didn't react, but I saw approval in her eyes. Charles nodded slowly. Interesting. After the meeting, Isabella walked beside me. You spoke at the right moment. I almost didn't, but you did. I don't want to look foolish. Then prepare until you're not. That became my routine. Early mornings, late nights, financial models, negotiation drills. You're thinking emotionally, she told me one evening. How? You want to win arguments. You need to win outcomes. I clenched my jaw. I'm trying. Try smarter. Days turned into weeks. I stopped checking Emily's social media until Ryan sent me a link. You should see this, he said. I opened it. A video clip from Paris. Emily at a fashion event. Victor beside her, expression cold. She reached for his arm. He pulled away slightly. Ryan raised an eyebrow. That didn't look romantic. It's not my concern, I said, though something twisted in my chest. Another article surfaced days later. Victor Langford declines comment on merger rumors. At dinner, I asked Isabella, is Victor struggling? She sipped her water. Why do you care? I don't. I'm curious. Curiosity can be useful, she said. Yes, he's overextended. With debt. With ego. I almost smiled. Weeks later, we attended a charity gala. Cameras flashed as Isabella stepped onto the red carpet. I followed calmly. Remember, she whispered, confidence is quiet. Inside, the room glittered with wealth. Then I saw her. Emily stood near the champagne table in a silver dress. Victor spoke to investors, barely acknowledging her. She noticed me. Her eyes widened. She walked over slowly. Daniel. Emily. She studied my suit, my posture. You look different. I am. In what way? I stopped apologizing for myself. She swallowed. That's good. Is it? She hesitated. You seem confident. I'm learning. She glanced at Isabella across the room. Is this real? What? This marriage. It's serious. Her expression faltered. I didn't think you'd move on so fast. I didn't think you would either. Before she could reply, Victor approached. Well, he said smoothly, if it isn't the groom. I met his gaze. Good evening. He looked me up and down, enjoying the spotlight. I prefer results. He chuckled. Big words. Charles stepped beside me. Daniel has been contributing valuable insights lately. Victor's smile thinned. Is that so? I said calmly. Markets reward discipline and punish amateurs, Victor replied. Agreed, I said evenly. That's why sustainability matters more than showmanship. A nearby investor leaned closer. Interesting perspective. Victor's jaw tightened slightly. I continued, steady. Rapid expansion without structural support invites scrutiny. Silence followed. The investor nodded thoughtfully. He's right. Victor forced a smile. We'll see. He walked away. Emily looked between us. You handle that well. I've had practice, I replied. As the evening continued, more guests approached me. Questions. Conversations. Respect. Isabella, join me later. You didn't flinch. I wanted to, but you didn't. Across the room, I saw Victor speaking sharply to Emily. She looked smaller somehow. Ryan texted me. You just stole his room. For the first time, I felt it clearly. The balance was shifting, and this time, I wasn't the one being left behind. Look at this, Charles said, sliding a folder across the table. I opened it. Debt reports. Hidden ones, he replied. I scanned the numbers. These don't match Victor's public statements. They're not supposed to, he said calmly. So he's leveraged beyond capacity? Dangerously. I leaned back. How long? Months. Before the wedding? Charles met my eyes. Yes. The realization hit hard. He wasn't stable when she left me. No. So he sold her an illusion. He sells illusions well, Charles said. Later that night, I sat across from Isabella in our apartment. You knew, I said. Knew what? She asked. About Victor's instability. I suspected, and you didn't tell me. You weren't ready. I frowned. Ready for what? For the truth without reacting emotionally. I sighed. He promised her security. He promised access, she corrected. To what? To my family. I looked at her sharply. He approached you? Yes. When? Last year. And I declined. Why? Because he wanted Monroe Holdings, not me. The words settled heavily between us. He used Emily, I said quietly. He uses everyone, she replied. My phone buzzed. Emily. I stared at the screen. Answer it, Isabella said. I stepped into the other room. Hello. Her voice sounded softer than before. Daniel, are you busy? Depends. I won't take long. I stayed silent. I didn't know, she said. About what? Victor's finances. I closed my eyes. You didn't ask? He told me everything was under control. And you believed him. I trusted him. The irony almost made me laugh. She continued, "He's been distant. That's unfortunate." "Don't do that," she whispered. "Do what?" "Be cold. I learned from the best." Silence lingered. "Are you happy?" she asked. "That's not your concern." "It used to be. That was before Paris." She inhaled shakily. "He gets angry over small things. Then leave. It's not that simple. It was simple when you left me. That's not fair." Neither was a text message at the altar. She went quiet. After the call, I stood alone, staring at my reflection. Did I still love her? Or did I miss the version of myself who believed in forever? When I returned, Isabella watched me carefully. "She regrets it," she said. "I can hear that. And I don't know what I feel." She nodded slowly. "That's honest." I sat across from her. "Does this bother you?" "What?" "That she's calling me." She held my gaze. "It would bother me if you lied about it." "I'm not." "I know." Her voice softened slightly. "You're not the same man she left." "Is that good?" "It depends on who you want to become." I studied her expression. "Why are you helping me like this?" "Because I value strength." "That's not personal." She hesitated. "Maybe it is." The room felt quieter than usual. "This was supposed to be strategy," I reminded her. "It still is. But it feels different." She didn't deny it. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Emily. "Can we meet? Privately. Please." I stared at the words. Isabella spoke gently. "You should decide what closure means to you." I thought closure was winning. It isn't. I looked at her. "What is it?" "Peace." I exhaled slowly. Emily sent another message. "I need to talk face to face." I typed back before I could overthink it. "When and where?" Then I looked at Isabella and said quietly, "She wants to meet." I arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early. When Emily walked in, she looked thinner, tired. "Daniel," she said softly. "Sit," I replied. She lowered herself into the chair across from me. "Thank you for coming. You said it was important." "It is." I waited. She wrapped her hands around her cup, but she didn't drink. "Victor isn't who I thought he was." I didn't react. "He's angry all the time," she continued. "His company is collapsing." I heard. "He hides things. Debt. Lawsuits." "I know." Her eyes widened. "You know." I read. She swallowed. "He blames me." "For what?" "For distracting him. For bad press. For everything." I studied her face. And I feel trapped." "You chose him." "I know." Silence stretched between us. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "I chose money over love." Those words once would have fixed me. Now they felt distant. "You didn't choose money," I said calmly. "You chose what you thought was power." She shook her head. "I thought you'd never change." That was the problem. Tears filled her eyes. "I didn't believe in you." I noticed. I was scared of struggling forever. "We weren't struggling. We were average," she said, then flinched. "That's honest," I replied. She wiped her tears. "I didn't think you'd rise like this." "I didn't either." She leaned forward. "Take me back." The words landed softly, but they carried weight. "You're married," she added quickly. "But that marriage is strategic. Everyone knows that." I stared at her. "You've been researching." "I had to." "You left me publicly." "I regret it every day." "Do you regret leaving?" I asked, "or regret that he's failing?" Her lips trembled. "That's cruel." "It's fair." She covered her face briefly. "He yells at me, controls who I talk to, checks my phone, then leave. It's complicated." "It wasn't complicated when you walked away from me." She looked at me through tears. "I thought you'd always be there." "That's not love," I said quietly. "That's insurance." She flinched again. "I was wrong," she whispered. "You were steady, kind. You would have built something real." "I am building something real," I replied. "With her." "Yes." She stared at the table. "Do you love her?" I paused. "I respect her." "That's not the same." "No," I admitted. She reached across the table. "We can fix this." I pulled my hand back. "Emily," I said gently, "I beg you to stay." "I know." You didn't hesitate. Her shoulders shook. "If I take you back now," I continued, "what does that make me? Forgiving? Or second choice?" She had no answer. I felt anger rise, but it wasn't wild anymore. It was controlled. "I don't hate you," I said. "Then why won't you help me?" "Because helping you doesn't mean destroying myself again." She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. I used to think losing you ruined my life, I said quietly. Now I see it forced me to grow. She whispered, I'm sorry. I believe you. Is that all? She asked. It has to be. Tears fell freely now. I thought money would make me safe. Money amplifies who you are, I replied. It doesn't protect you. She looked broken. Part of me wanted to comfort her. Part of me wanted her to feel the weight of her choice. I stood up. Daniel, she said quickly, please don't walk away like this. I'm not promising anything, I replied. Will you meet me again? I don't know. Her voice cracked. I'm scared. So was I. I left before I changed my mind. When I got home, Isabella sat on the couch, reading. She looked up. How was it? She cried. And she regrets it. Isabella closed her book. Do you still love her? I don't know. Do you want revenge? Her voice was soft, almost careful. I thought about Emily's tears, Victor's arrogance, my humiliation. Then I thought about who I was becoming. Isabella asked quietly, do you still want revenge? I looked at her. I didn't answer. It's official, Charles said, closing the office door behind him. Regulators opened an investigation this morning. I leaned forward. On Victor, yes. For debt misrepresentation and fraudulent asset inflation, he replied. I felt a slow heat rise in my chest. How bad is it? Bad enough to sink him. I looked at the folder in his hand. You have proof. He placed it on the table. Bank transfers, shell accounts, inflated valuations. I flipped through the pages. If this goes public, he's finished. Charles met my eyes. We can accelerate that. You mean leak it? I mean apply pressure. I closed the folder. And what do we gain? Market correction, competitive advantage, and revenge. I asked quietly. Charles didn't smile. That's personal. I exhaled. I don't want this to look like a vendetta. It won't, he said. It will look like accountability. My phone buzzed. Emily. I stared at the screen. Charles noticed. Yes. Will you answer? I silenced it. She'll keep calling, he said. I know. That night, she called again. And again. I didn't answer. Instead, I stood by the window, watching the city lights. The next day, I attended the Global Investment Conference with Isabella. Stay calm, she whispered before we entered the main hall. I am calm. Good. He won't be. Victor stood at the podium when we arrived. Cameras flashed. Investors listened carefully. He spoke confidently at first. Our growth remains strong despite rumors. Murmurs filled the room. Then someone asked, what about the investigation? His jaw tightened. Baseless. Another voice called out. Can you clarify your offshore accounts? Victor's eyes flickered. I felt Isabella's presence steady beside me. Suddenly, Victor looked directly at me. Some competitors enjoy spreading doubt. The room shifted. I didn't move. He continued, voice sharper. It's easy to criticize when you've built nothing yourself. A few heads turned toward me. I stepped forward calmly. Transparency builds trust. Victor scoffed. You wouldn't understand scale. I understand sustainability, I replied. The crowd quieted. Rapid expansion without audited stability invites scrutiny, I said evenly. Victor snapped. You're implying fraud? I'm implying responsibility. An investor near the front nodded slowly. Victor's composure cracked. This is ridiculous. Then clarity should be simple. I answered. Cameras zoomed closer. One journalist asked, Mr. Langford, will you release full financial disclosures? Victor hesitated. That pause said everything. Murmurs grew louder. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just stood there steady. After the session, investors approached me instead. Strong stance, one said. Measured, another added. Victor walked past me without speaking. Emily called again that evening. This time she left a voicemail. Daniel, please. He's furious. Investors are pulling out. He says someone is sabotaging him. I deleted it without replying. The next morning, headlines exploded. Langford Industries under federal review. Major investors withdraw. Ryan called me. You didn't even have to push. I didn't, I replied. That's the best part. At the office, Charles entered with a thin smile. 2 major funds exited this morning. Because of the conference? Because of doubt. And doubt spreads fast, I said. He nodded, especially when it's deserved. My phone lit up again. Emily. I watched it ring. Isabella looked at me from across the desk. You're not answering. No. Why? Because I don't need to. She studied me carefully. Does it feel good? I thought for a moment. It feels balanced. News reports continued all week. Lawsuits, internal leaks, resignations. Victor's public statements grew shorter, tenser. At another panel discussion, he avoided eye contact with me entirely. Emily sent one final message. I didn't see this coming. I stared at the words. Neither did I. But this time, I wasn't the one falling. I was standing still while his empire cracked beneath him, and I realized something powerful. I hadn't destroyed him. He had built his downfall himself. I had only refused to save him. The office felt quieter than usual. My phone buzzed endlessly, but I ignored it. Ryan peeked in. Victor's lawsuits are piling up. Public opinion is turning. He's finished. Good, I said, though I didn't feel celebratory. The door opened quietly. Emily stepped in. Daniel, her voice trembled. I gestured to the chair. Sit. She hesitated, then lowered herself slowly. I made a mistake. You called before, I said flatly. I know, but I didn't realize what I lost. I kept my hands on my desk. Do you? She bit her lip. I want you back. Please. I can fix everything. I leaned back. Can you? Or are you chasing the version of me you left behind? Her eyes widened. I just know I was wrong. I can't. You can't what? I asked calmly. Control the past? She shook her head. I don't want to lose you again. Emily, look at me. I held her gaze. I'm not the same person who let you walk out. Her hands trembled in her lap. I understand. I do. But maybe we could try again. I exhaled slowly. No, not again. She blinked. You're serious? I am. She swallowed, trying to steady herself. So all that, me leaving Victor, Paris, it didn't break you? It broke the version of me who waited, I said. But I've rebuilt myself. You're saying you don't love me anymore? I'm saying I don't love who you are now. And I realized something important. I wasn't in love with you. I was afraid of being alone. Her lips quivered. Afraid? Yes. Afraid of failure, humiliation, rejection. But that fear doesn't control me anymore. Tears welled in her eyes. So, it's over? Yes. My tone was gentle but firm. It's over. She nodded, voice breaking. I understand. She stood slowly. I hope you're happy, Daniel. Truly happy. I will be. She left, closing the door softly behind her. I exhaled, the tension leaving my shoulders in waves. Ryan appeared from the hallway. You handle that well. I had to, I replied. For me. That evening, Isabella found me in the study, reviewing notes. She leaned against the doorway, umbrella dripping. You're quiet, she said. Everything okay? I just had closure, I admitted. She came back. I told her no. Her expression softened. I'm glad you chose yourself. I looked up at her. You're here every step of the way, helping me strategize, teaching me to stand taller, think clearer. She stepped closer. Helping you wasn't the only reason. I blinked. What do you mean? Her eyes met mine, steady. I like you. I think I've liked you for a while. And I was wondering if you feel the same. I felt my chest tighten. The room seemed smaller. Is this still just strategy? She smiled faintly, hopeful. I needed to ask. I studied her for a moment, thinking of every day we'd spent together. Every late-night discussion, every tough lesson, every challenge she'd thrown at me. No, I said finally, voice low but certain. It hasn't been for a while. Her smile widened. Relief and warmth radiated from her. She reached for my hand. I took it without hesitation. You mean that? She asked softly. I do. She leaned slightly closer. Then we start for real. For real, I agreed. I felt something shift inside me, a weight lifting that I didn't even realize I'd been carrying. Good, she said, her thumb brushing mine gently, because I think we could be unstoppable together. I think we already are, I said. We sat there quietly for a moment, the hum of the city outside fading in a background noise. I realized I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of heartbreak, not of betrayal, not of the world. I was ready. Ready for us. Ready for myself. And finally I felt free. Victor's downfall was complete. Daniel, Charles said over the phone, his board just announced emergency audits. Lawsuits are mounting. Investors are pulling out fast. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Good. Let the market handle him. And Emily? He asked. She left quietly. I said, back to Europe, I think. No public statement. That explains the sudden calm, Charles replied. I hung up and stared out the office window. Months of tension, humiliation, and strategy had led here. Not revenge, not anger, but stability, control, my life. Isabella walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. You look reflective. I am. She handed me a cup. You earned this. I smiled faintly. It doesn't feel like winning money anymore. Or titles. She tilted her head. Then what does it feel like? Self-worth, I said simply. The next week, I officially assumed a leadership role in Monroe Holdings. The board applauded politely. I nodded, acknowledging the weight of responsibility. Ryan leaned over my shoulder. Look at you. From abandoned groom to corporate power player. I prefer the term rebuilt, I replied. One evening, I found myself standing outside the empty wedding hall where Emily had walked out. The doors were locked. The hall was silent. I ran my fingers over the old wooden frame of the door, memories flooding back. No heartbreak, no anger, just reflection. I whispered to myself, I've come a long way. Isabella's voice interrupted me. Thinking about old ghosts. I turned. I am, but they don't scare me anymore. She smiled. Good, because our future isn't haunted by them. Months later, we held a small wedding ceremony. No cameras, no press, just family, friends, and quiet joy. Isabella stood before me, calm and radiant. I took her hand in mine. You ready? She asked softly. As I'll ever be, I replied. The officiant smiled. Do you, Daniel, take Isabella as your wife? I do, I said clearly. And do you, Isabella, take Daniel as your husband? I do, she said, her eyes steady on mine. As we exchanged rings, I felt the gravity of this moment. Not wealth, not power, not revenge. It was something far stronger. Respect, partnership, love that grew from choice, not obligation. I squeezed her hand gently. I never thought I'd feel this calm, I said. She leaned closer. Because you finally stopped fearing the wrong things. I nodded. Memories of Emily, Victor, and every humiliation flashed through me. But instead of pain, there was clarity. Emily didn't destroy my life. She forced me to rebuild it. Every setback, every betrayal, every public embarrassment had shaped me into someone stronger, smarter, more confident. I looked at Isabella, at the life we were beginning together, and felt something undeniable. I thought losing her was my downfall. I said quietly, more to myself than anyone. It was the moment I finally found myself. She smiled, resting her forehead lightly against mine. And now we find ourselves together. I breathed in deeply. The past no longer controlled me. The future was ours. I let the quiet of the room settle around us, the sound of laughter and soft conversation blending with the rhythm of my heartbeat. I choose this life, I whispered, gripping her hand firmly. She squeezed back. And I choose you. Outside, the city lights shone bright. I felt grounded, steady, unafraid. The scars remained, but they reminded me not of loss, but of resilience. For the first time in years, I felt whole. I found myself, I repeated softly, smiling. Not in victory over others, but in victory over fear, pride, and regret. And I knew, finally, that this was the life I was meant to lead. With her by my side, every challenge ahead felt manageable. Every decision empowered. I had rebuilt, I had learned, and I had chosen wisely. And for the first time, I was truly free.